Okay, in this video, we're going to have a look at some of the options under the page layout. Now, we have seen a lot of these options elsewhere under the print preview, for example, but let's just run through them. Before I do that, let me just increase the zoom. So currently, if I click on that, we're on 76%. Let's just make it 100%. So it's a bit bigger. Okay, so if we go to the page layout option over here, we already spoke about margins. This is another area that you can access those margins as well as the custom margins over there. We've also already covered, the portrait versus landscape setting and the size of the paper that you're printing on over here. Now on the print area, one of the things I want to show you is that when we did this initial print preview, it assumed that we wanted to print all the data on this page. But let's assume we only wanted to print this section over here that I've highlighted, right? So you can select the area that you want to print if it's not the whole sheet. And then you click on this print area drop down and you say set print area. And you can see now everything else is grayed out. It's showing that this white area is the only area that would be printed. And if I go to Control P, for example, and see the print preview, you can see only that area is actually being printed. So you can set a print area by selecting a certain area and then clicking on this set print area. To clear that, I just click on clear print area, and now it will select everything on the sheet, all of the data on this particular sheet. Then we've got page breaks. So a page break is automatically inserted. You can see these dashed lines are page breaks. It means it will start a new page. Let's just actually demonstrate how you can also insert a page break. So let's say I wanted to insert a page break here. If I go to the breaks and I click on insert page break, you can see it's actually put a solid blue line above there. So that means all of this here, this area will print on one page. If I insert another page break, let's say here, right, it'll just be, remember wherever you're clicking, that will be the start of the new page. So it'll insert the page break directly above when you click on this breaks and you say insert page break. So you can see this page 2 is going to be a very small page. So let's just have a look. If I go to Control P, right, you can see, and I click on now the print preview to refresh it. You can see there's not many things on page 1, and then if I go on to the next page, again, not many things because we manually inserted those page breaks, and then the remaining pages are basically full pages as per the settings that were there before. To remove a page break, you simply click on that same cell, the start, where the page break is just above it, and then you just go to breaks and you click on the remove page break. But that, as you can see, has removed that page break, so now this whole area over here all becomes part of page 1. As you can see, it's actually written there, page 1. If you want to reset, you can also click and drag a page break. So if I click on that, if I hover over it and it turns into a double arrow, I can then click and hold, and I can drag that page break to wherever I want it to be. So you can see I actually clicked, and then wherever I drop it, that will be the new location of the page break. Okay, so that has now moved the page break. If we click on this breaks and we click on the reset all page breaks, it will then reset it as per normal. So removing all of the manual page breaks, and it will bring the system back to how it was initially. You can see that resetting the page breaks also actually, put everything at 100%. So remember, if I click on this drop down over here, and we go to the adjust to size, you can see it's at 100%, which means that when we first started it up, remember, it actually cut off these columns. Now, when we drag this across, when I clicked and we initially dragged this particular page break across to make all of these columns fit on a single page, it automatically would have resized the percentage to a number smaller than 100% so that everything could actually fit on one page. So if I go over here now and I click on this dialog expander, you can see it's now been adjusted to 75% of the normal size. So we didn't manually do the adjustment, but when we dragged that page break across to make everything fit on the page, Excel automatically knew that it had to actually print everything in a smaller size compared to the normal size. So it had to print everything in 75% of the actual size in order for it to fit on that page. You also have an option to actually add a background picture for your spreadsheet. And then we've already previously looked at the print titles, where we click on that and it brings us to the sheet area over here. Now you'll notice there's a couple of options here around sort of grid lines, and I'll show you the same options if I just click on cancel over here. Okay, we now look at grid lines and headings. So you can see grid lines are basically these faint gray lines between each of the cells, so that it's actually easy for us to actually see the cells. If they currently, you can see it's ticked on for viewing purposes, but not for printing purposes. So just to show you what it looks like, if we turn it off for viewing purposes, you can see the whole page becomes blank and you can't see any grid lines around any of the cells. I'll turn that back on. So now you can see the grid lines are back, these faint gray lines around each cell. And then headings basically refer to all of the row numbers and the column letters here running on the top. So if I turn off the headings, you can see those are basically no longer showing, and I can turn on the headings for viewing purposes. Now, if I go into Control P and actually printing the sheet, and let's click on the print preview here, you can see there's no grid lines actually printing on this, nor are those headings of the the column letters or the row numbers printing. But if we did want to print them, we could actually turn them on. So if I just press escape to go back here, and let's say we turn on the grid lines for printing, so I'm going to tick that on. And now if I go into Control P, you can actually, and I click on the print preview again, you can see all the grid lines now actually printing. And similarly, I'm just going to escape out of here. I'm going to turn on the headings as well for printing. So we tick that on. And now if I go into the print preview by pressing Control P again, clicking on Show Print Preview, you can see here are the column letters basically printing, as well as all of the row numbers. So it's not normal to basically print this, but if you did want to actually print the full spreadsheet as you see it on your screen, including the row numbers, as well as the column headings, as well as the grid lines, it is actually possible to do that. But what we'll do is we'll just tick these off for printing purposes and leave them on for viewing purposes only.